Lamar Jackson's name has never been surrounded by this much doubt. A massive contract, a season that completely slipped out of control, injuries, unexpected losses, and noise that keeps getting louder every single week behind the scenes of the NFL. Suddenly, something that once felt unthinkable is being whispered everywhere. Could the face of the Ravens really be nearing the end of his time in Baltimore? Because when the money is heavy, the results don't show up, and pressure comes from every direction, no franchise is immune to tough decisions. What's happening right now goes far beyond a rumor or a flashy headline, and understanding the situation completely changes how you look at the future of the Ravens. Stick around until the end, because every piece of the story helps explain why this question has become so real. When you look at where the Ravens are right now, everything starts with one number that outweighs all the others: $74.5 million. That's the cap hit Lamar Jackson will carry over the next 2 years, and it completely reshapes how the team breathes, plans, and makes decisions. A quarterback at that price isn't just the face of the franchise. He becomes the center of everything, from roster moves to weekly expectations. The issue isn't that Lamar is expensive, because players at his level always are. The problem starts when that massive number doesn't turn into consistency on the field. Injuries, missed games, and the feeling that the team becomes fragile without him create immediate discomfort. When the highest paid QB isn't available, every loss feels heavier. Every mistake turns into a debate, and patience starts wearing thin, even when the talent is undeniable. And then there's another layer that keeps coming up in this conversation: recent history. Lamar is a 2-time MVP, but he also carries a 3 to 5 playoff record, something that always resurfaces when the discussion turns to investment versus return. No matter what he's accomplished before, the NFL lives in the present, and a contract this big demands answers right now, especially for a team built to chase a Super Bowl. That backdrop sets the stage for everything that follows. When the money is that high, the wins don't come, and losses start piling up, the entire season gets examined under a much harsher lens. And that's exactly why the Ravens' sudden on-field collapse quickly became impossible to ignore. Early in the season, the conversation in Baltimore was simple and confident. This team had everything it needed to compete for a Super Bowl: a strong roster, a star quarterback, a respected defense, and an experienced head coach leading the way. Expectations were sky-high, almost automatic, like the path was already laid out. But the NFL doesn't forgive teams that can't keep up on the field. As the weeks went by, reality hit hard. Wins didn't come, mistakes kept repeating themselves, and losses started stacking up in ways no one saw coming. That losing record didn't just knock the Ravens out of the elite conversation. It completely changed the atmosphere around the franchise. Early confidence turned into frustration, pressure, and growing impatience. Things became even more fragile when Lamar Jackson started showing up on the injury report, eventually listed as questionable for Week 17. Without their quarterback, the team clearly lost its identity, rhythm, and ability to respond during games. Every week without Lamar seemed confirmed that something deeper was wrong, not just with the roster, but with how the entire season was being managed. And when a team opens the year as a favorite and ends up fighting just to stay competitive, the tone of the conversation inevitably changes. At that point, it's no longer just about on-field performance, but about bigger decisions, internal dynamics, and scenarios that once felt impossible, like the rumors that started popping up soon after. With losses piling up, Lamar injured, and that massive contract looming in the background, it didn't take long for speculation to explode. In the NFL, when everything goes wrong at once, the quarterback's name always becomes the center of the conversation. And with Lamar Jackson, that attention only grew louder because of the investment and the urgency for results. That's when trade talk started gaining traction, quickly making headlines and splitting opinions. From the outside, a lot of people felt it made sense just looking at the numbers, recent results, and the frustration of the season. But inside the Ravens building, the message was very different from what was being said publicly. John Harbaugh didn't hesitate and left no room for interpretation. He said he's never seen anything that suggests those conversations are happening internally, and emphasized that he's part of every important meeting. That statement wasn't just a denial. It was a clear attempt to quiet the noise and show control during a chaotic moment. Still, when a head coach has to publicly shut down rumors like that, It says a lot about the level of pressure surrounding the team. Trust may exist behind closed doors, but the fact that this discussion gained traction at all shows just how far the season drifted off course. And that leads directly into another critical part of the story.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
One of the most damaging moments of this entire situation didn't happen on the field, but it had a direct impact on everything that followed. Lamar Jackson missed multiple weeks with a hamstring injury that, according to reports, was misdiagnosed. And that single detail completely altered the trajectory of the Ravens season. While Lamar was sidelined, the team went into free fall. The offense lost its edge. The defense stayed on the field longer, and losses began stacking up fast. His absence made it painfully clear how much the roster depends on him to function, and showed that the team wasn't prepared to handle a situation like this. That sparked frustration across the organization. The coaching staff expected better answers. The front office began questioning internal processes, and players started looking at the medical staff with growing doubt. When something like this happens, it doesn't just affect the injured player. It shakes the entire locker room. And once internal trust starts to crack, the damage goes beyond a single bad season. That kind of tension leaves scars and create a level of pressure that doesn't fade quickly. That's why the Ravens are already starting to look ahead, trying to figure out how to turn all this frustration into something different moving forward. Despite all the noise, one thing remains clear. Lamar Jackson has never shown any desire to play anywhere else. He knows the interest he'd have across the league, but his focus appears to be on getting fully healthy and returning at the highest level. On the other side, the Ravens also understand that right now, he still gives them the best chance to win. A bad season didn't erase Lamar's talent or the potential of this roster. If anything, it created intense internal accountability. The front office wants a return on its investment. The coaching staff wants better execution, and the players want stronger support and trust behind the scenes. Everyone feels like they came up short. That buildup of frustration creates something dangerous for opponents. A team carrying heavy pressure, but also a strong desire to prove itself. The Ravens have always been defined more by the adversity they faced than by smooth success, and this situation fits that identity perfectly. The bottom line is simple. If Lamar is healthy, locked in, and properly supported, Baltimore believes it can still compete at a high level. This season may look like a disaster on the surface, but for this franchise, it feels more like a brutal test that will shape who they truly become going forward. What's clear after all of this is that the situation between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson is far more complicated than a simple stay or go. There's elite talent, massive investment, and deep frustration from a season that promised so much more. Injuries, internal mistakes, and constant pressure created an uncomfortable reality. But they also prove that when Lamar's on the field and healthy, this team ceiling changes completely. At the same time, it's impossible to ignore how short patience is in the NFL. A contract this big demands fast answers, especially for a franchise that sees itself as a Super Bowl contender every year. The real question isn't just whether Lamar can return to elite form, but whether he and the Ravens can align expectations, health, and performance when it matters most. Now the conversation turns to you. Do you believe Lamar Jackson is still the right guy to lead the Ravens into the future, or is it time for Baltimore to seriously consider a new direction? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this debate is far from over, and what happens next to define this franchise for years to come.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.